What's happening, everybody out there in YouTube land? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome to another episode of My Pathetic Life as a Homeowner. If you recently subscribed and are wondering what the hell happened to my little Nissan Xterra project, well, today's the day. I'm gonna get back into this thing and finally close off some of the answers that are probably pending. Also, I'm actually going to retract a lot of what I said in the first video. Going into that video, I had no idea what I was getting into, so I did a lot of things that in hindsight, I don't even think I needed to do. So I'll get into that a little bit later in the video, but here's where I'm at with it. Obviously, the transmission's fine, but the biggest problem is I've been running this thing for 4 months with the transmission fluid still running through the engine coolant. So the engine coolant system is looking like shit right now. Take a look at this. Look at that. That is the engine coolant. Ugh. So that is going to be today's project. Engine coolant flush, a major flush. And at the same time, I actually did order a rad off the internet, or Amazon for that matter. 110 bucks. I'll post the link underneath. Reality is, I'm actually torn whether I should put this in or just leave it as is with the transmission bypass like I did in the first video. If you didn't watch the first video, I'll put a link underneath this. Take a look at it. And again, I'm gonna retract a lot of what I said in it. So let's get started with the flush. All right, we're gonna get this flush done in multiple stages. We're gonna be turning the car on and off a few times. We gotta get it warm so all the coolant out of the engine kind of comes out. But long story short, it's pretty straightforward. I'm gonna show you on this rad. There's a drain plug right here, or there should be a drain plug. All you gotta do is unscrew that and pop the cap off, and it should start flowing pretty well. So let's start that. All right, let's get started here. I got a little pan underneath and a little tiny screwdriver. I'm gonna start taking this out. While I'm doing this, first thing I'm gonna retract from the last video is I took the transmission pan off. And the reality is, I don't think I needed to take the transmission pan off. I should have just flushed it like I did with the five jugs of transmission fluid. And I think that's all you really need to do. To go into the extent of taking the transmission pan off and changing the filter, I think it was overkill. And yeah, that's the first thing I'm gonna say about the first video. So let's just keep draining this thing. I got coolant. Actually, the coolant over here doesn't look too bad, but obviously there's some shit in it. I'm gonna open the rad right here, cap, let it all drain out. I'm gonna open up the res too, just to release some pressure. And gummy. So I took a little clear glass sample here. To be fair, let me put this somewhere. This is what we're dealing with here. I mean, to be fair, the brunt of the fluid coming out first was pretty clear. And that's obviously because it's probably an oil viscosity versus close to water viscosity difference, right? But as it gets lower and lower, more crap keeps coming out of it, and you end up with this. So you can clearly tell there's oil, transmission oil, floating through this system. So again, there's a good chance that that might react with seals and whatnot, and it's best to get rid of all of it. So I'm gonna throw some water in here, try to flush this out a little bit, get it all flushed. We're gonna plug it up and we're gonna repeat. Got my hose out, I'm gonna spray the reservoir, and I think that should just flow out, maybe not. It'll flow out. Plugs back in. I'm gonna fill the rad up. I'm gonna be filling it with hose or tap water or running water or whatever you want to call it, but people are supposed to put distilled water in. Why? Because it doesn't have any minerals in it. But since I'm just doing this like as a quick flush, I don't see any reason why the tap water is gonna cause any issues. So let's fill this thing all the way back up. And then we're gonna start the car, get the engine warm, and turn the heat on actually to get the heating core that gets coolant going through it as well. So everything's kind of, anywhere the coolant goes in the engine, we want to make sure we're getting it flowing. Don't forget to put the cap back on. These caps are kind of shitty. There we go. Caps back on. Let's start the car. Warm it up for like 10 minutes. Crank your heat. And it's Florida in February, so it's already damn warm out, so I ain't gonna be sitting in here. I'll actually put the window down. And we're gonna wait 10 minutes. I'm gonna monitor closely the temperature of the engine to make sure it's not spiking over center. If it starts spiking over center, immediately turn the car off. I mean, chances are there's some air bubbles stuck in the system. So if these air bubbles get stuck and things aren't flowing, then the engine could potentially overheat, and that's a big no-no. So monitor it, but leave the car running for like 10 minutes. You're kind of trying to want to get the fan that's in front of the radiator to turn on. But yeah, give it 10 minutes, and then we're gonna flush again. While you're waiting, go get yourself a damn beer. All right, temperature came up a little bit, about a quarter way. I can tell the fan went on. So anyway, everything's recirculated again. So some of the, hold on, let me get these keys out. So everything that's in the engine kind of went through, and it's kind of mixed again, right? But since we put so much water in, the concentration in the rad versus what's in the engine's probably a lot smaller in the engine. So anyways, everything's mixed again. Let's do another dump, and then I'm gonna do one more. All right, boys and girls, the engine cooled down a little bit. We're gonna take the cap off. Actually, I'm gonna leave it on. I'm gonna take the plug out first, and we're gonna repeat this again to get all the shit out. Come on. There we go. Careful, if it might be a little bit hot. Actually, it's not. It's cool. Whoa. Yummy. So this is what we're dealing with now. So while this is draining, I just want to recap. I've been driving this thing for over 4 months like this, and I want to say that the transmission has given me absolutely no issues at all. I've hauled stuff with this thing. I've driven it hundreds and hundreds of miles at this point. The transmission is back to normal. So thumbs up if you can salvage this thing, and hopefully it gives you a little bit of confidence and a little bit of a morale booster to realize that your transmission might not be fucked up. We're getting down to a drizzle here. I'm gonna put the plug back in and repeat. All right, time for another flush. This time I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I got this radiator super flush, supposed to remove deposits, scale, and rust. Hopefully it adds a little bit of cleaning agents to what we're dealing with in there. And I'm gonna throw this whole bottle in here. I bought this at Napa. I think it was like $6 or $7. And throw that in first. I should probably get a funnel. Hold on. All right, this ain't the right funnel for this particular job, but she'll have to do. So I'm pouring this whole bottle in here, this super flush stuff. Never done this before. Don't know if it's gonna work, but it says it's supposed to do something. So hey, why not? This shit's so fucked up. Might as well try. And then the rest, we're gonna add water. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please do me a favor and subscribe. I'm a homeowner, I'm a car owner, I'm a boat/jet ski owner, so there's either shit breaking or I'm updating stuff in the house. So always something to do. I'll try to post a YouTube video for everything, and if you're bored and want to get entertained, follow along. Throw some in the res here. All right, let's cap all this shit off. Cap. Cap. So, if you actually read the instructions on the back of this, it's pretty much telling me to do exactly what I just did. Start the car, fill it up, put this stuff in, run it for like 10 minutes until the heating core opens up, the whole system, the car warms up a little bit. Once you're done that, you just flush again and go from there. Almost forgot, just to make sure the old girl's got some proper coolant in her. Throw some beer in there. There you go, old girl. Cheers. Alrighty. Start her up. Crank the heat. Just watch the temp and let it warm up. So I'm sitting here waiting for this thing to warm up, listening to some Willie Nelson, sipping on a beer. I got this smell coming from over here somewhere. So I start exploring. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see anything. There's some smoke coming up from this area, and it looks like my valve cover gasket, the very back corner of my valve cover gasket, is completely leaking and dripping onto the exhaust. So that means I got another fucking project on my hands, and I think I'm gonna do it myself. I actually called the shop up and they said that would cost $400 to $500 for them to do it, because they're gonna rip apart a bunch of shit. Realistically, a valve cover gasket's probably, I don't know, 20 bucks. So please subscribe. That might be another video in the future, and probably not for a while, because I got another bunch of shit I got to do in the house. So anyways, follow along. We'll see where it goes. But back to the daily grind here. Warmed it up. That flush wash thing went through the system, so I'm going to drain it right now, and I'm going to get back to you in a second. We drain it again, but let's take a look where we're at here. I've been taking a sample every time I drained to give an idea of what's happening. First flush, we got a bunch of oil residue that floated in it. Second flush, no oil residue and a little bit lighter. Third flush, this is where we added that little super flush, and we're a little bit lighter here. So that's where we're at right now. I think I'm gonna do one more flush. Oh wait, hold on, I forgot this flush. Let's take one of these flushes right now. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna do one more flush after that stops draining over there. And then I'm gonna put that here. And then I think this is where a lot of us are gonna start having a conversation as to what to do next. So let's do that and stay tuned. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold the phones. The radiator just took a shit. Look at this. This is on the same flush. This was kind of the early stream. This was kind of the end of the line stream. So we got still a bunch of residual oil in it. So, all right, time for another flush. I've discovered a problem. Maybe not so much of a problem, but a pattern. Here's the deal. We started off like this. We went to this. Then we went to this. I was capturing these little samples midway, midstream. But then this one, near the end of the flush, went to this. So I did another flush, and it was pretty clean coming out, but I decided to capture it around the time when it started to flow in some oil. Now we have this. So essentially, I thought I was getting cleaner, but in reality is, I mean, there's parts of the engine where it looks like the oil is getting trapped and it's coming out slowly, but the problem is I'm putting water in and oil and water don't mix. They separate, and it seems like the oil's separating at the top of certain components or parts or channels, and the water's flowing out well, but the oil's still there. So I'm gonna try something that's probably gonna get me shit on for doing it, but fuck it, let's try it. So this is pretty basic chemistry. I got oil in my coolant system, and I'm trying to flush the oil out with water. Now, oil, water don't mix. How the fuck do we get all the oil out with the water? I'm going to plan B, and I can't wait for the comments on this. I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna work, but here's my solution. Dish soap. We're gonna put some Dawn into the cooling system, which will mix with the water, which will mix with the oil, and the theory is that the oil and water and Dawn will combine and grasp all the oil, and it'll flush out. Also, this is safe for ducks. I don't know if that means anything, but I can't wait to hear the comments on this one, but that's what I'm doing. I just poured it in. Cheers. Rad's topped off. Ironically, I kind of see it somewhat working already. There's a bunch of little oil particles starting to kind of float up. So I'm gonna treat this as a fucking washing machine. Oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait. But I'm not gonna leave it running long. I'm literally gonna turn it on. I want to get it through the whole system. I'm gonna rev it a bit, get the juices flowing, get all that Dawn mixed in there, and I can't imagine it's going wrong, because I think it's gonna flush it again after this, right? So, but the whole point of this is to see if we can get that oil out, because it seems to be collecting and not coming out with the water. So I can't comment. Please shit on me all you want. I get it. This is hilarious. This is the post-Dawn dish soap drain. There we go. She's soapy. See what we collect. Another flush down. Welcome to the Dawn flush. It's becoming very apparent that there's a stage of the flush where things come out very clear, and then during a certain part, all the chunkiness comes out. So I mean, I've been trying to catch the chunkiness now, but it was the exact same thing with the Dawn flush, where things are coming out a little bit clear, and then all of a sudden this little chunky part comes out. But long story short, I think the Dawn did actually a pretty damn good job of catching some of the oil. So honestly, I thought I would be done these flushes right now, but as we're seeing here, all I'm adding is water into this mix, and I'm still getting crap out. So there's a clear indication that there's oil finding its ways into spots that it's getting trapped in. So I got no choice. I'm gonna keep flushing this. Fuck it. I'm in so heavily invested into doing these flushes that it's not even a big deal anymore. So I'm gonna keep flushing here and just learn from what I'm doing. And throw your comments down below and go from there. So let's do another flush, see what that comes out as. Another flush with Dawn right here. This one did not catch as much as this one did. This one did actually pretty good, to be honest with you. As stupid as this might sound, this Dawn actually probably helped. So anyways, starting here, this was the original. And this is where we're at, and I just filled it up right now, so I'm gonna do another flush. I'm not gonna waste your time showing you how to do it because you've seen it like 3 times at this point. So I'm doing another flush. I'm gonna put a cup down, and hopefully we can settle some of this argument, so stay tuned. Here's where we're at. This is essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 7th flush. Obviously you can see there's still a little bit of residual transmission fluid in it, but I think the reality of the situation is it's almost next to impossible to get rid of all of it. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I think the brunt of it is gone. It's hard to tell in this bucket, but this is all the fluids that I've been collecting from doing all these. Well, not all of them, but I got another bucket here somewhere. But anyways, this is all the fluids that I've been collecting. This is probably the first little phases of it. And to give you an idea of how much transmission fluid is in that bucket, I kind of took a little sample right here. And this will give you an idea of how much transmission fluid was in there. So long story short, I'm pretty confident that we got, I'm gonna say, I feel like 98% of the fluid out, and this is what we're left in with. And the reality is, I think we're coming into a little bit of a fork in the road between myself and some of you out there. So the big question right now is, what do? Do you go ahead and replace the radiator, or do you leave it bypassed? That's the big question right now. So I want to hear what you guys are saying, and let's have an argument over it. My personal opinion is, I actually already bought a radiator, so I'm pretty much got no choice. I don't mean I don't have any choice, but I'm gonna go ahead and replace the radiator. Personally, do you need to? I don't think you need to. I've been living down here in Florida, driving this thing for 5 months in Florida heat. With the bypass, and I mean, I don't notice any difference. So long story short, let's hear what you guys got to say. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't even know how to say it, but I didn't expect this video, or I didn't expect this engine coolant to take as much work as I expected it to, or from what it was. So I have to do a part 3, I guess, on this video, and in part 3 I'm going to be replacing the rad. So subscribe, follow along. I'll replace the rad. I really don't want to do it, but I got no choice now. So yeah, other than that, leave a comment, and till next time, cheers.